so section 4.5, we're looking at this parabola, finding the important points, the things that we've already talked about, like the coefficient of x squared, the y-intercept, and the vertex. And we just talked about the fact that when you're asked to solve a quadratic equation, you're being asked to find the x-intercept. I want you also to recognize some other terms for x-intercept. Does anyone know some other things that these are called? I don't know if you would have heard it before. Zeros. These are called the zeros. Have you heard that before? And is there an E in zero? Oh, yes.
No, I think so.
I think there is. Zeros. Anyway, zeros. And they're also called roots. So if I ask you to find any of these things, you need to know that you're being asked to find the x-intercept. Roots, zeros, and x-intercepts, all the same thing. And that is where the function crosses the x-axis. Okay? All right. Well, when we find an x-intercept, how do we do that? How do we find an x-intercept? If we have a graph, we can look for it crossing the x-axis. But what if we have an equation? What if I have y equals 2x plus 3, and I wanted to know what the x-intercept was?
Just put 0 for y.
Thank you. So, add an x-intercept. Y equals 0. So to solve for it, for the x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y. And solve for it. Easy enough. So here we would put 0 equals 2x plus 3. Solve for x, we would get negative 3 equals 2x. We would divide by 2. And we would get negative 3 halves equals x, and that's where this line crosses the x-axis. Okay. Well, now we're going to be doing that with quadratic equations, and they're a little trickier. So, before we do that, we need to think about something that I believe you've seen before, something called the zero product property. So, if I have an equation 5 times length equals 0, what has to be in the length? 0. It has to be a 0. Or if I have 0 times 10 equals 0, that has to be 0. So, if x minus 4 times x plus 3 equals 0, then we are going to get a 0 when x minus 4 equals 0, and when x plus 3 equals 0.
Yeah.
Right? Because if this equals 0, we get a 0, and if this equals 0, we get a 0. And then we can solve for the x. So when I solve this, I get x equals what? Careful, solve for x in that one. We add 4 to each side, and we get x equals 4. And we subtract 3 from each side here, and we get x equals negative 3.
So you just want to cancel out whatever's in here.
But do be careful, because sometimes our factors might look like that, and just be careful. You set it equal to 0 and solve for x. It's not, so in this case, it would not be negative 3.
Yeah.
Because we still have the divide.
So if it's just an x, you don't have a coefficient of your x, you're just canceling out everything.
And it's the opposite of whatever. Yeah. All right. So you can see the reason we've been factoring is because once we factor and we set the y equals 0, we can use the zero product and then solve. Okay? So let's do an example. So we have x squared. You're asked to find what are the solutions of the quadratic equation x squared minus 5x plus 6, that's 6, equals 0. So first off, what are the solutions? So what am I looking for? X-intercept. All right. And so right now, the key thing is going to be get everything on one side. That's very important. Then see if it factors. After it factors, we'll do zero product. All right? So does x squared minus 5x plus 6 factor? Okay? Let's multiply 2 6 and add to negative 5.
-3,
That will do it. And I can do the shortcut on this one, right? Because the coefficient of x squared is 1. So my factors are x minus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0. Notice everything we did up till today did not have an equal sign. We were just factoring expressions. Well, now we have an equal sign, and we're being asked to solve. So now we're going to do our zero product, x minus 3 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0, and we solve each of these. And we get x equals 3, and x equals 2. Those are the x-intercepts. That's the solution to this equation. All right, so we always start with a nice easy one. Get everything on one side using algebra, factor, and then use the zero dot. Everybody okay with this?
This is all we have to do.
Well, make it a little pretty easy. Let's do the next one. So what are the solutions of the quadratic equation? 2x squared plus 7x equals 15. All right. So, on the other page, I said, get everything on one side first. So, avoid the most common error. That is the most common error. People start factoring before everything is on one side. So, we need to do that. That means we have 2x squared plus 7x, and then what? Minus 15 equals 0. Now we're good to solve. All right, so this one has a 2 in front. It'll be the longer process. 2 times negative 16 is?
30.
Negative 30. Factors of negative 30 that add to positive 7. One's got to be negative, one's got to be positive. Yes, I heard it. 10 and 3. And which one's negative, which one's positive? 10 is positive because the bigger one gives us the shine, so 10 is positive, 3 is negative. So now we rewrite 2x squared plus 10x. Actually, I'm going to do minus 3x, because if there's a minus, I like to put that first. Plus 10x minus 15 equals 0. What do I do next? I group the first two, and I group the second two. What can I pull out of the first two?
Oh, 1.
X. Leaving me with? Careful. 2x. And then? Yeah, we're dividing an x out of each of these. Minus 3. So I want a 2x minus 3 over here. So what do I pull out? Plus 5 times 2x minus 3. We still equal 0. And what are my factors then back? 0. So what are my factors? The one that's in the parentheses is, so now I want my two factors. One of them is what's in the parentheses, so read that to me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what's outside. What's in the parentheses here? 2x minus 3. And what's outside of the parentheses is our other one. Well, x plus 5. Yeah, there we go. Good. Equals 0. So we have factors. And now, zero product property, which means you take 2x minus 3 equals 0, and x plus 5 equals 0, and we solve these.
1.5.
Yep, so I'm going to add 3, and I'm going to get 2x equals 3, and I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to get x equals 3x. There's one, and there's the other one. Okay? That's about as hard as it gets. The factoring is the trickiest part, so that's why we've done a lot of practice with factoring, and we'll continue. All right, so now we have our algebra to do this, and it would be nice if you could use your calculators to check your solutions, yes? Get your calculator out. So you'll notice I have put in the exact equation that we were dealing with, 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. All right, when you want to check your answers with the calculator, so please put that in y equals in your y1. 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. The hardest part of graphing a parabola is getting the window right. Getting the window to show what you want it to show. So we have to use some information that's in the problem. What's the y-intercept for this one? Right, the y-intercept is negative 15, so we want our window to include negative 15. Will this one open up or down? It's going to open up, so is the vertex going to be above negative 15 or below it? It's going to be below if it's got to come up through the y-intercept. So that means the minimum of our y has to be below negative 15. So once you put this in your y equals, we're going to go to the window. And we're going to set the window so that we can hopefully see our equation. This may take a little playing. This may take a little playing around. So we have our equation here. Now we're going to go to window. And it's always a good idea to start with negative 10 to 10 for your x's. It's the y's that we need to play with a little bit. So I know negative 15 is my y-intercept, and I know my vertex is going to be lower than that, so I went a long way lower. I said, let's make my y-min, which is the lowest value of my y on the screen, negative 50, and my y-max 50. And then I made my scale. The scale is what each tick mark is worth, and I made that 10. You don't ever have to touch x-res, delta x, or trace steps. Everybody okay with that? Once you have that, press graph, and you have your parabola on the screen. Okay, yes. So I picked a value. I knew the y-intercept was negative 15. I knew the vertex, since we're opening up, is going to be lower than that. So I just took a guess at it going way lower, negative 50, so that I would be able to see it better. No, your window may be different than everyone else's in the room. All right, so now we want to find out how to use our calculator to find these x-intercepts. This is very handy for the rest of your life in mathematics, I promise you. Zach, you have a calculator.
I thought you were going to add mathematics onto the assessment.
Did I? What did I say?
No, you did, but I thought you were going to do like 7 points away. I was like,
Well, it's important in your life too, but especially in mathematics. All right, so to find your x-intercept, you want to do second trace, which is calculate, and notice number 2 is finding a 0. X-intercepts are called
0.
0. So we want to choose number 2. All right, then you do your cursor. Everybody, put your calculators down and watch me first. Put them down on the table. Okay. So we want to find 2 different x-intercepts, right? So I'm going to find this last one first. So I'm going to use my left arrow. Notice the calculator is saying give me a left bound. That means move to the left of the x-intercept. So I'm going to use my left arrows and keep moving my cursor left until I'm to the left of that x-intercept. So keep going, and there it is. Doesn't matter how far you go. You should stay as close to it as you possibly can. So there is my left bound. Once you get that, hit enter. And it asks for a right bound, so we move to the right side of that 0. Am I to the right of it? Yes. I will hit enter, and then it says yes. I hit enter one more time. I get negative 5. Okay? Everybody find me at 0. So I am going to do second calc. I'm calculating a 0. Now that's for a right bound, a left bound, so I'm going to move until I'm just to the left of that x-intercept. Guys are so calm with this today. It's lovely. Hit enter after the left bound. Then move to the right of it. Hit enter after the right bound. Hit enter when it says yes. And if you notice, those are the 2 values we got when we calculated. 3/2 is 1.5 and negative 5. Okay. You got it? So So try again, second column 0. Move to the left side of the x-intercept, hit enter. Move to the right side, hit enter. Hit enter one more time.
So, you look on the problem,
So on the homework, there's one section that says that you algebraically, and two sections that say to use your calculator. One of the calculator sections says to use tables. I'm not good with tables. Just do
So,
those.
hold on, what are you supposed to get in your answers?
So you're looking for the x value, 1.5,
And then,
negative 5. Okay, I'll come up. Maybe you entered your parabola slightly. So there's two of them here, right? I got them on two different times that I did it. So, to find this one over here, I do second, trace, number 2, enter. It's asking for a left bound. So if I'm trying to find this one, then I need to move my cursor to the left side of this one. So I'm going to go to the left of negative 5.
I just like to give you the same answer.
Yeah. You need to make sure you are getting to the left of the proper x-intercept. So I'm to the left of negative 5, I hit enter. Then I move to the right of negative 5, I hit enter again, and then it says yes, and I get negative 5. Okay? Yeah, Margaret? You forgot to clear it. I'm good.